Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Well, hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
And Sam Pruitt.
Hey,
What's
Ruth,
up?
look at us. Yeah, yeah.
Look at
So
us taping a podcast this week. How
fun.
many weeks have we been taping this podcast? At some point, we probably need to count that.
I
What
know,
episode are we on?
I know. I was just, well, we're in the one something.
30s.
I was just thinking, I was like, have we been doing this for 2 years? No, 3 years. So, like, we're coming up on 3 years in October, dude. Isn't that fun?
Dude, we are legit. Look
So
at us.
fun. So fun. Yes.
And we're talking about creativity today. And
Mm,
I'll let you read the title again in a hot second, but just pointing out the reality of look at us in this creative project and the longevity of
mm,
our creative collaboration.
mm.
That's freaking amazing.
And I love that word collaboration in that,
Mhm.
because a lot of what I was thinking about in preparing for this is like, just like up in my brain. Am I creative? How am I creative? And then I love like a creative collaboration. That's so good.
Oh, that's the best.
So good. You're
I
right.
believe that everything is a creative collaboration, but we'll get into
Mm.
that in a second. Why don't you tell us what the title of
Hopefully.
this
Okay, another
podcast
teaser.
is?
Sam's got teasers dropping left and right. Okay. We're calling this Permission to Play, Exploring the Art of Creative Breaks. And just so you know,
Mhm.
okay, so what's funny about this, I just want to talk, we'll let a little bit of the backstory. So we were like, 2 weeks ago, we're like, oh, well, we've been doing a series on hormones. And so we did hormones, and we just were like, blah, 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 rambling. We were enjoying the heck out of that. And we had so much to say. And then there was this other group of hormones that we wanted to get into. We're like, oh, we need to like deep dive and like whatever. And like both times we were going to record, and we both were like, we're not there yet. We're totally not prepared. And so yesterday we're like, okay, game on, switch gears, pulled out the creativity hat, right? And we're like, let's
Exactly. Permission to be creative.
exactly. I was like,
I mean,
hey,
we're
this is our
basically
podcast. Let's
role
talk about
models.
whatever we'll talk about whatever damn hell we want. So
That's exactly right.
yeah.
And we're creating a piece of art that is a reflection of who we are in the world and our
Mm,
contribution to the world. And that should be a creative act.
exactly. And it is. And it is. So we're giving
Exactly.
ourselves permission, and you out there listening, all that like I just want, like, as this is going into your ears, for it to feel like sparkly magical pixie dust and giving you like reminders like, oh, I am an artist, like I'm childlike inside, and curiosity, and then reawakening that side of you that is always there that maybe you do or don't tap into enough. I know I have been slight on this, and we'll go into that, but how to reawaken and with creative breaks or whatever that looks like. So where are we
Mhm.
starting off, Miss?
And we've got the word play in the title. Well,
Yeah.
when we're talking about this, people tend to think of like creative outlets or creative projects, the
Mm,
stereotypical kind of art, music, obviously, writing,
mm, mm-hmm,
movement, dance,
mm,
film, all the things that people think of somebody created art
mm, mm,
for, it came out of them and it was created into a thing. That's how
mm,
people kind of associate creativity in general, I think.
mm,
I would like to plant a different seed. And I know we're going to ask
mm.
each other questions. So this is going to be really fun for us today, too, because this is something we don't normally do.
Yeah.
First of all, we are all creative because we were all created. Okay,
Mm,
people, you were created,
mm,
whatever your belief system. But last time I checked, you're in the universe on this planet at this time. Okay, so you were created. Therefore, you are creative by
mm,
birthright
mm, mm.
because you don't have to be a quote unquote artist to be creative or be a creator. So I just want to drop that right out of the gate. And for me, it's like a state of being. It
Mm.
is an act of the human being human. And in their birthright, you're always making and creating something, whether it's inside you and it's trapped and it hasn't been expressed yet, which I think is the most common experience most of us have. I know I got no shortage of things that have not come out into the
Yeah.
world. Like, I don't even know where to start with that,
Right.
right? But that's pretty common. And then we think of ourselves as separate all the time from other humans and from the universe and the earth, which is also not reality. But anyway, so therefore we are like, well, that person's an artist. They have creative talent. I don't.
Hmm.
I could maybe be taught to be creative, but innately I'm not. Well, it's bullshit. So let's just go there out of the gate, shall we?
Well, just raise your hand because I'm raising my hand. Like until a couple years ago, I would have never said I'm creative, I'm an artist, anything like that. Like literally my brain was like on lockdown. You're not an artist. You're not creative. Like
Mm,
I wouldn't say I knew it. I told myself something and I believed it, right? And
got it.
I looked at, I have some fucking talented people in my life that, yeah, I mean, you with your creativity and then like things that we would classically say artistically creative, like could draw something and you'd be like, damn, or like could create some magical, like my one friend, she used to own a salon and she'd create these window dressings that were like, that would pay all things in New York City. And I was like, winning award. I'm like, what the hell? So like, I was like, bow down, holy, she's the creator, she's creative, she's artistic. And my
Mm,
brain was just on lockdown. And though that friend and others in that circle helped me understand, oh, hell no, we're all creative. And so I gave myself permission to kind of like lift that up and reframe that belief and just open up to like, oh, you know what? That's true. That's true. So
hmm
I'm in the recovering non-creative. I'm in the
Yeah.
recovering non-creative crowd, you know.
And I'll just point out something that I know about you and about myself, of course, too, is that we have created business.
Mm,
We have created communities. We have created lots of things.
mm.
Here's the deal. They didn't exist before us. Okay? They
Yeah.
didn't exist.
Uh-huh.
And then we had thoughts, ideas, a vision, and then feelings and emotions, and then drive and initiative, and then ultimately discipline to
Mm,
create the thing.
mm, mm. Took
And
action. So it wasn't so it
yes.
reminds me one of my favorite teachers, as you know, Abraham Hicks, it's like turning thoughts to things, right?
Mhm.
So it we move it from ethereal form or energy into the physical form, the world, right? And what I think this is a good time, if I may, throw in the word and like the root, me and words and stuff
Sure.
like that. Can I throw? Okay. So creativity, those words like that. So the word traces back to Latin. I may butcher this, but it's creare, creare, to make, bring forth. I love that part. Bring forth, produce, or cause. And even further, it goes into it could go into original meaning is to make grow, right?
Ooh.
And Sanskrit is kar, which is to produce, generate, make. And this is an interesting little fact. You hear all kinds of these little things on our podcast because I love researching this stuff. So it's like the word creative as an adjective didn't even exist but 200 years ago.
That's insane.
Creative, like we just take it for granted, like, oh yeah, like creative, right?
Yeah.
Like it didn't exist, meaning imaginative, until 1816 in Wordsworth. Yeah. And then art, the word art comes from Latin artum, which is meaning work of art, which is a practical skill, a business, or a craft, which is interesting. I wouldn't have thought of it that way.
hmm
And then the root of ar, meaning to fit together. And then the Greek, it says, let's see, the word creativity didn't exist. Artworks were considered imitation, not creative work. Like, what? And in the 18th century, during the Enlightenment era, the concept of creativity emerged as something humans actually possess. Like, it was like medieval Christianity was like, nope, God creates. Y'all humans, you're just little dust and God's little war. No, humans could make things, but not create them. I was like,
Wow.
wow. Wow. It's
Wow.
pretty
I
cool.
loved in that initial definition you were giving how it included growing things.
Yeah, to make
Because,
grow.
of course, plants and flowers and gardening and generating, again, things that did not exist. Okay. And then there was a seed, and then I put the seed in the ground, and then I did all the things, creative act of
In
bringing it.
collaboration with Mother Nature. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Mother
So,
Nature's like doing her thing, but like we are a part of that collaboration because like
so
my garden.
nobody can deny,
Yeah.
including you, Polly, that
Yes.
you are a creator and a creative.
I'm reformed. I'm absolutely
Okay. So
sold.
just
Yes.
your gardening alone is like, what the hell is going on over there? And
And
by
you,
the way, have you seen the bus that you drive around? I mean, you're
yeah.
so funny. Oh, I'm not.
Well, I didn't paint it, so I figured, oh, but one of the
It was
things
your vision.
I am. So that's the thing. I was thinking about, so I've recently rearranged my office and art and stuff like that, just kept working on some
Which you
things.
do all the time because you're creative.
And I was like, oh yeah, you're damn right. And I remember when we flipped houses for years, man, the before and after transformation, like that was all in this girl's head. Go out and find all the damn thing, like all kinds of like setting up the Airbnbs we would set up because I'd theme them and then I'd find and curate and work with a designer sometimes and all this stuff. And it was like, poof, like you're right, like that whole experience of somebody walking in and having a felt experience that like I didn't want it to just be vanilla. It wasn't like, oh, let's make it gray and clean and maybe that's one experience, right? But mine was like, this shit's gonna be like, oh, these people have some sass, you
hmm
know? So yeah,
And
you're
it
right.
goes to show you how much we are impacted by creativity and creative ideas, concepts, and
Mhm.
executions, whether they're maternal spaces, material spaces, or experiences. Like
Yeah.
I created experiences for
Mm,
freaking thousands and thousands and thousands of people for 20 something years, right? Like that's an incredible creative act.
yeah.
And you might look at the job description or the business model and been that's just not a creative thing. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Someone's going to come into this experience and leave a different human being. Hello, I don't. So
Well,
it's around us all the time, and we're all doing it, and we're all capable of doing it, which is really our message today. And I do want to get
yeah.
into our little Q&A, or else we'll never.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah. And I just
podcast
want
will
to say
never end.
it's like the fingerprint because I can remember going to another festival, not race that you weren't the founder of and organizing. You and I had flown and we were, or, we were helping set up another race. And that experience, like the festival experience, the after experience was so different than your events. Like your fingerprint, when you put your fingerprint on something, it's like y'all are gonna have a good time, like like how you curate the space and the vendors and the music or whatever, right? Like it's like throwing a party. It's like y'all are coming to
Mhm.
this amazing party, and by the way, there's a race going on, and so and I just came from Lightning in a Bottle, which is my annual, just huge like talk this. I'll say 1 minute on it, and then we'll shift, and we'll probably come up later, but. This event is held once a year at a boring ass campground in Bakersfield, California. Okay.
Mhm.
Like before and after.
A pile of dirt, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
in the middle
yeah.
of BFE.
Farmland, as far as, there's like nothing out there.
Ah.
Yep. It's just like, Roman nothing. They come in and they throw down so much to transform the space with lights in the trees and artists painting and stages and yogas and installations. Like I don't even get me started on the art craft. Like there's this one thing called a mixtape, and it's like you're all of a sudden transported. You walk in the door and you feel like you're in a 1980s house party. I mean, like how they like brought in all the things and the music, and there's like, VHS players, and it's crazy, and you're like, damn, we're at like a house party here. You're in the festival, and then you're in this little room, and then you're like, wow, we're in a house party, and it legit feels like it. So anyway,
And you go to that
yeah,
because
well,
those are your people.
yeah, yes,
And
many.
you are
I
I'm
probably
gonna
have 10 whys, but my number one why is I just call them my family. Like
there you
I'm
go.
just like, this is my family, these are my people. I just have to be around. It's like a reunion. It's like I gotta go be with you. Like there's like 25,000 people. I don't meet them all. I don't know a tenth of them, 1% of them.
Mhm.
But I still am like, if you're here, you're damn well my family. Because if you come to this and enjoy it, then we are kin. We are kin.
Yeah, sharing the same vibration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
So,
Okay,
all right.
so we're gonna get into some questions. I get to start.
No, wait, no, I have one for you. Because,
Oh,
well,
yay.
how do you define creativity? So, how do you define creativity? Because I gave you all
I
that.
think I kind of already said it. Like it's an expression of myself. So my creativity is an expression of myself. My
Mm,
thoughts, my ideas, my emotions, it can come out in a myriad of ways, my visions, whatever. It's something internal inside of me that is generated from within and turned
mm,
into whatever. Again, from nothing to something.
mm,
That to me is how I define creativity. And again, that everybody was created and therefore everybody is a creator and creative. That's how I
mm,
feel about it. What about you?
mm. Well, what I love about that is like, you know what? Every day, every moment of your life, then
Oh,
you're a creator. Yeah, there isn't a
100%.
moment you're not. Like it's not, oh, I'm going to go over here and create. Oh, I'm going to do that on Saturday because I'm going to a painting class. You're saying like you're just a walking creation. I love it. I love it. You're right. You're right.
By the way,
Um,
when you wake up in the morning, you get to decide what you're
yeah,
about to create. So
that's true.
there's an incredible sense of ownership and
Yeah.
responsibility with
Yeah.
that way of being.
Well, and don't get me started because language, last year I studied a year of communication courses. And one thing that was definitely drilled into my head in a good way is we have the power to create through language. And we're
Yep.
doing it, whether we're conscious of it or unconscious of what we're creating, but we create through language in the listening of others and our own listening. It's amazing. Like nothing gets created unless it's spoken, the spoken word, if you will, because you've got to engage people. I mean, you can go off and do your thing, but like, you're likely doing it with words. So, okay. And for me, God, what is the definition of creativity? Man, I just like my brain sees pictures, I'm just seeing like colorful stuff. Like you talk about my bus is all colorful and I
Mhm.
move my art. So I'm looking over the camera right now and in my room, I've rearranged my art. So like some of my favorite paint, like I just got like art all over my room. I'm like, damn, I have a huge appreciation of art, even though if I can't afford expensive and lots of it, I got as much of it as I can fit on my walls. So yeah, yeah, I like what you said though. Like creativity is, I think it's like being present to wanting to create something, a transformation, generate something, to grow something, and
Mhm.
applying yourself. Like I'm
Mhm.
doing that. So, all
Mhm.
right. Yeah.
Well, so then let me secondarily ask, what are your favorite forms? Two or three of your favorite forms of creativity?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think my favorite form of creativity is I have a very visual sense, like that's my strongest sense. And I think my creations are through exploration,
Mhm.
being curious, and travel is a big one for me. Even I was telling you the story before we started recording that like I love getting on my scooter and I just go in all sorts of like just yesterday or 2 days ago. This will be a funny story. 2 days ago, I got on my scooter and I was like, gonna go like into a different neighborhood and oh, what about over here? And then I just went. I was like, oh, I haven't been up this street before. Girlfriend, how long have I been in San Luis Obispo? Coming on 25 years. I
Mhm.
found a trail access to this mountain that I have probably been on thousands of times that I'd never seen before. And I was like, it's just this young curiosity and exploring. That's one of my favorite creations. It's not like something exists after I do that other than my heart. And
Well,
yeah,
your experience
yeah, yeah.
exists.
Like the surprise and the
You're basically
delight.
the curator of your own experience, your own adventure.
And they're
That's
just
freaking
like little
creative.
city tour. I call them my little city scooter tours. I'm like, I'm just tooling around. I'm like, this summer, I'm like, I am going to get to know every little. After I did that, I was like, where else don't I know that I need to know? What the hell? Yeah,
Yeah.
this was like magical. So,
And what else is out there? Well, okay, so then how does that feed you? What about that experience feeds you?
yeah. So I have a high need for variety. I just know that. Like some people have a high need for certainty, and I do have that at times. I tend to go on I have a high need for variety. So my need for variety, and we all have that on a spectrum, is quenched with like this is why I love to put post passport stamps, right? It's like, oh my God, I've tasted new food. Oh my God, I've seen new horizons. Oh my God, I've seen a new culture. Oh my God, I've met some people that I never knew before. Like the novelty, the variety of humans, sights, smells, tastes, all of that. It just lights me up. It just pushes that variety button really well. So,
Hmm.
how about you? What are your favorite forms of creativity, creating?
I love to write and I love music. I don't write music and I
Mm.
don't write anything that's like published or whatever, all not that I won't eventually, but I'd like to do those things. I like to listen to music. I find it incredibly like it just unlocks a lot of emotions, thoughts, processing, trapped energy, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm totally obsessed with music right now and all different types of music. So not one thing, it's just however I feel and what I'm listening to. And I do like writing. And then I
Mm,
like moving my body. I mean, to
mm,
me, moving my body is my biggest form of creativity as
mm,
I evolve my body and my life. And again, my curate my own experience through
mm,
space, through time, through nature, through
mm,
whatever. To me, that feels very creative and very
mm.
nurturing and liberating. Above all, liberating. Like I feel so free when I'm doing those things.
Yeah. Wow. I just got this idea of like, like when you create an experience, like let's say you're like, oh, let's come over for a house party or a birthday party or something like that on Friday, and okay, and you put a lot of thought into decorate. Like I can tell you some crazy wacky parties I've thrown. Like I had one that was a
Same.
pirate, yeah, pirate party that was
Yours
like
are wackier. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
next level. It
You're
was
into
like
themes.
people were on a boat and then they had a scavenger hunt and it was wild, right? But it's like, wow, as you described that, I was like, we're literally creating each day. Like, oh, how's this day going to go? And where am I going to be? And what am I going to wear? And who am I going to see? And, like you're giving yourself where you put your body, where you put your attention, how you experience that. Do you light yourself up? Like I remember a long time ago, well, A, I've studied feng shui, and then B, I remember Oprah saying your home, especially your bedroom, when you come home to it, that damn well better feel like a sanctuary. She's like, I want to come in and just be like, ah, and I was like, you know what? Right. And so
Mhm.
if we don't treat the spaces we can create, not to say that, we can touch all the world, but like if we can curate our own spaces, we get to
Mhm.
experience that. Like I'm looking like you said, I've got all this beautiful, colorful art on my walls, and I'm just like, I'm lit up at the moment. So
I think we kind of can create our own experience in that way, even in places where we don't think we are. So, for example, how
it's
you would
true.
like schedule your day. Where would you be going, right? Would you go to
Mhm.
this grocery store or this one? Would you go to this coffee shop or this one? Would you have your office cubicle or your desk or your office look this way or that way? Those are all things that you are
Mm.
creating.
Yeah.
And in that, there's an expression that's happening there. It's a reflection of who you are, what you're into, the
Mm.
colors you're into, the sound, the music, that whatever, all of that kind of stuff, right? If you think about the more traditional creative outlets, so we'll just talk sort of art for a second, right? So the writing, the music, the film, things like that. There's a lot of schools of thought out there. Rick Rubin is a legendary music producer, right? And I read his book on creativity. It was fascinating. He's a total character if people don't know
Yeah.
who he is. You
Yeah.
should definitely YouTube that.
He's great.
Okay.
His video interviews are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And him and even Elizabeth Gilbert, who I'm a super fan of her work, also author, they do say that the creative ideas come to you from the universe, from the cosmos, energetically, whatever. They're going to come to you. And then it's up to you
Mm.
to receive them and
Mm.
accept those invitations, if you will, to
Mm.
let them move through you into some sort of thing that you create or not,
Yeah.
because the universe has all of this available. It's constantly there for any and all of us. It's just, do we choose
Wow.
to accept the invitation, or do we reject it, push it off, ignore it, intuitiveness, whatever it is? Do we just say, it's not my time, it's not my thing to do? And unfortunately, a majority of us do say no,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
look how many people are actually creating in the world.
Well, we're all
I put
creating, but like consider themselves artists or,
creating an artist
yeah.
expression in the traditional sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. 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 I dig it. I dig it. All right.
And I
What,
like that.
so how about on the tail end of that, unless you have another question? My next question is, what does not being creative cause in your life, right? Like, what is it when you're,
Oh, damn.
yeah. And, part of the title we were talking about is like creative breaks, right? So like, I mean, yes, we're being liberal with use creativity, like, oh yeah, in our life, every day is a creative act and stuff like that. And I would say a lot of us, our life, 5 days a week, maybe 7 days a week can look like, a rinse and repeat, a little bit cookie cutter. You got the responsibilities in the morning, you got the responsibilities in the middle of the day, the end of the day, repeat next day, responsibilities in the morning, whatever. So we were thinking, creative breaks is that, evenings, weekends, middle of the day, whatever, or quarterly, type of thing. So what is when you're not allowing your creative expression or you're not tuning in to the things that light you up? What is light?
I think it's very costly.
Yeah.
Uh like tragic,
Mm,
tragic, right? Because really you're saying that those gifts that are innate to you and those ideas, those thoughts, those concepts, those visions, those feelings associated with all of that, that would ultimately turn into an experience or a thing or whatever, are not worthy of my time and attention.
mm,
And then what are you really saying if you
mm,
say that?
mm.
That part of me will never get expressed to the world because it's not worthy? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. I started to think as you were crafting that answer, like, if we think about, because part of one of the metaphors, I was like, when I went to LIB this weekend, I felt like I wrung out my sponge and I could take in more. It was like the whole, I've been just plowing, doing concentrated work for all quarter and like learning AI and just all this like mental, masturbation of, just work, work, work kind of stuff, pumping out, producing things, creating new things in a context, right? That felt very, I know the word is like right brain, and maybe there's not right and left brain, but more mechanistic than creative, feminine, intuitive, if you will. And I was thinking, if we had a flower and we just, if we watered it with like we only watered it once a quarter or something, like would we expect it to flourish and thrive and grow and flower and all that stuff, or if we just kept it lack of water? It's like
A
the
tree. Would we expect fruit from the tree?
right.
Good luck with that. Okay, people?
Right. Right. So it's like so what I declared, I mean, I can remember being at Lightning in a Bottle and I was just so like it was such night and day how my life had felt, before it. And then I get immersed in just, oh, I love you people, and it was like so great. And I'm like, why do I deny myself this? Why don't I do this more often? Right? It was like a straitjacket gets lifted off, or my brain gets just cracked open, or whatever. My heart just is wide open, just all this like sense of freedom. It's like the plant just got, fertilized, and it's like, holy smokes, he's creative brain. I'm like, okay, I can, and I was telling you, I think I texted you from there. I was like, I can see why MLMs, multi-level marketing companies, do these quarterly retreats for their people,
Mhm.
fly them to, beautiful places, like la 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 la, la, whatever. It's like a rebirth, because they're like down in the trenches, gotta get some more people on board or whatever, and then like they have these experiences. And so like these quarterly retreats, I'm like, I'm committing to that. So
But back to the question, why do you deny yourself
I
those
know.
opportunities? Why does anybody?
Well, that's
Why does
that's an old
anybody?
paradigm. That's an old paradigm. It's like,
Well, it's like these stories, paradigms, well, it doesn't generate money.
hmm
It's not good enough. Nobody will like it.
hmm
It's not worthy of my time and attention or some resources that might go towards it.
yeah.
All of these things, story things, paradigms that we craft around that
Mm-hmm.
limit us. Many people have the whole like, oh, well, I'm not good at it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
maybe they tried when they were younger, or they wanted to try when they were younger, and somebody told them no, or that they shouldn't or couldn't, or that it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And that's still looming around, flying
Mm.
around in that brain of theirs, and they're attached to that.
I was thinking, lackful thinking. So,
Mhm.
scarcity and lack, like, oh, I have to be producing. There's no
Mhm.
time for the luxury of being creative. There's no time for the luxury of taking a creative break or whatever that looks like for somebody. But, I mean, you got to breathe. And it didn't take me that much more time yesterday when I went on my little scooter tours. It's like I was going to go for a walk or whatever. It's like, oh, just be creative in the act of something you're already doing too, you know?
Exactly. I don't see it as luxurious at all.
I
Maybe
know.
because my forms generally are not luxurious at all. Like they're
Yeah.
not like relaxing in that way. They're like,
Extravagant or something. Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
they're generally even whether it was building a business or doing music or whatever. I don't consider these things or, being out in nature as luxuries.
Mm, mm.
But
Well, I
if
guess.
you say that art is a luxury item and it's for a certain class or group of people,
Mm,
then there's again that separateness,
mm,
right, of the who gets it and then who doesn't.
mm,
And really, I just can't say enough that that's a bunch of bullshit and
mhm.
that it's available to all of us, right, if we so choose. So stop saying no, I guess, is the answer to that real question, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's
Stop
just like a
saying
little
no.
mental pivot. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, that was going to be one of my questions for you is like, how do you keep it alive? Is your creativity something that evolves over time throughout your life? Is it seasonal in nature? Is it cyclical? Like, how do you keep it stoked? You
Mm.
know, and I'm curious how you do that, and then I'll share how I do it.
Well, I can definitely see, when we talked about having this conversation, I'm like, I can see doing such a better job at this. So I am going to give myself some grace that I haven't been generating as much as I'm now present to as possible and not seeing it as a luxury because I was sitting in that camp. So I'm the one in this conversation. If you're out there that was like, oh, I don't have time for the playing and the, whatever, creativity or so like reform. Let's all like jump into Sam's boat. I'm sold. Sign me up for that. I'm going to be doing that. But I would say for me, I think you're right. It's like I curate it almost like subconsciously, like the art in my house and
Hmm.
redecorating or moving things around, or I have ideas for video. Like even the things like I just redesigned my website, right? And I'm doing thumbnails and stuff like that, and my brand, my
Super
logo.
creative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all those things. So I just gotta stop telling myself I'm not. And then I say, because it's funny. There was a period where as I mentioned, these friends that were super like could paint like phenomenally type thing. And so it inspired me like I'm gonna get a little paint set and this and that. Huh. And the amount of I label it as work that goes into A because I'm like way behind them in terms of the learning curve. It's like, oh, the work to get decent at this, and then B, the setup, cleanup, finding the stuff, like I just don't have this stuff sitting around. So it was like sort of like if you want to become a good skier, well, you got to get the gear and you got to get lessons, and all that stuff. And I just hadn't invested in that. So I tabled it, right? But there is plenty to be creative, like you said, like my garden. I get compliments on my garden and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think we have to be good at any of it.
Yeah.
So, whatever that even means
So
is
true.
like totally hilarious to me. Okay, dude? Because I don't really care. I suck
Nobody
at so
said
many things. Like, who gives a shit?
totally.
Like, even if, when, whatever, I eventually write a book or books, honestly, at the end of the day, I need to do it for me. It's a
Yeah.
form of expression. I want to express these thoughts, these ideas, this concept out into the world. And damn it, I'm going to do it.
Mm.
If anyone responds to it, and
That's
honestly, that's when we took on this podcast, that was a commitment we made. Hey, we're doing this for us. This is about us. This is about us having a form of
impressive.
expression and getting our voice out into the world. If you and I are the two people that listen, fine. And
Hmm.
by the way, we're still doing it almost 3 years later, right?
Hmm.
So I think that's how people have to really pivot that idea about, if they are creating or creative in whatever capacity, which they are obviously, there can't be that judgment attached to it, standards and all that kind of stuff. That just robs the joy out of it most of the time.
For sure.
1% of the world is going to be the published author on the bestseller list and the la 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 in the art gallery and whatever. So who cares? But the other 99% of us are just humaning.
Mm. Mm.
It's
Indeed.
cool. Let's just get on humaning together.
Hell yeah, like have fun. We got one shot at this, right? Might as well have a good time, make it as colorful as you feel good with, and
Hmm.
and just I would say like I said I like lifted the veil off of myself or lifted the lockdown I had on my brain. Like I'm not a creative. That's not me. That's for someone else. Just give yourself permission, right? And see what happens. Like let her rip. Who knows? Like, and I'm a big fan. Like I have this yesterday or the day before, I think it was, I have this list that I created and there's going to be more, but it's a list of 100 things that I created a couple years ago. And these are not like climbing Mount Everest things. These are I should be able to do these fairly easily without maximum resources or something, like visit a new park or like I want to write one of my ones this week is to write a poem for my aunt, and this one, yeah, so,
I love that.
whatever they are, So one of them was
I
get
love
on my
those.
rollerblades. I have a fucking set of rollerblades in my storage from who knows where, whatever, right? So I got my damn rollerblades out and I was like, off I went.
Okay, that's so funny because recently I saw something and it was roller skating and I was like, I'm totally in. And then it was like for young people, I was like, what about me?
I know.
I
Yeah.
was the roller skate queen. Okay.
Um,
And
dude,
I could easily have a comeback. All right. And
Yeah.
so we need to get on these things. These are so fun. They're play dates, really, if you will, like just letting ourselves out to play kind of concept.
Hmm.
If I circle back to kind of like keeping it alive, you are much more disciplined and structured than me in these ways of like having lists and schedules and carved out time and whatever. I do think for some people that is a best way, a best practices, and there's a lot of philosophies around this, especially for writers or writers for sure, but creators, it's like you set a certain schedule and 30 minutes a day or whatever the time that you can allot to this project is carved out. And come hell or high water, you are showing up and delivering on that. And like Elizabeth Gilbert says, I go to my desk,
Mm.
everything is prepared for the ideas to come through me into my writing.
Mm.
And sometimes I am met there with the ideas. Sometimes the universe doesn't deliver it, but I sit there anyway.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
last thing I want to happen is for the universe to deliver these ideas, these thoughts, these words, or whatever,
And
and
you're in
I
bed.
am not at my desk.
Totally,
I am
totally,
somewhere else
totally,
scrolling around.
totally.
So I think that's kind of a fun idea too, that some people might really resonate with some people, is that like blocked out, carved out time
Mm.
on your calendar, highlighted in pink, and it's, twice a week or once a week, whatever the thing is going to be for you,
Mm.
that you are just doing nothing but creative play and exercising some kind of creative outlet.
Yeah, and that what you're talking about too, that morning pages idea is from one of my favorite books and yours, The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron, and she has this little prescription, and one of them I loved, and I've done it before, like more structured, because I was finding that I wasn't doing it, and that is
Ah,
artist dates. So you take yourself once a week solo on a little sojourn, whatever that can look like. It can be
okay.
visiting a museum, it could be looking at butterflies, it can be, whatever your artist date looks like. And there's some ideas she gives you. Yes, the artist for life. Put it in front of your chest. Yeah. Sam's holding up a book, says "Write for Life." Write for Life. Is that one of hers too? What is
Yeah.
that? Oh, okay. Anyway, so the artist way, the artist date, highly recommend those if you are leaning into this or want to. Some of this is sparking something inside of you. That's a great classic. And the artist date is just once a week, take your little self out, take your little inner artist and yeah. So,
Let's say you're into music. Okay.
mhm.
You can either just commit to playing music in your car when you drive to and fro or whatever, like blocking out a time with friends to go see music. Like these things will feed the musician in you and make you more apt to play your instrument if you have one. I
Mm.
was coaching a young gal that was interested in being a musician and had an instrument, and the instrument was in her closet, sealed in its little container. And I was like, I don't know how you're going to play it in there. First of all, what is this instrument? Bring it out.
Yeah.
And we were doing this whole recalibration of her house.
Yeah.
And so she brings the instrument out. And I said, this is a work of art and it's sitting in the living room. From now on, it's out of the case and it's sitting in
Mm.
the living room. What? Yes. And so, because you're going to walk by it how many gazillions of times a day, and you're going to see this work of art and it's going to be calling to you, you're going to play it. And I
Mm.
don't care. It could be a couple strands, it could be, a few minutes, it could be a jam session, whatever. But
Yeah.
your hands are getting on the actual instrument. Okay. This
Nice.
is how we do it. And it was just so funny and like kind of crazy and ironic. And then I've got this other gal, she's got quite a health crisis that she's up against. And so I'm really, really encouraging her to do as many creative projects as possible. She is home because she's ill and she's in treatment, right? So she has a lot more time available to her.
Mm.
And rather than sitting around
Mm.
feeling like crap or
Mm.
being full of anxiety and fear and depression around, a disease state, like let's find creative projects. And it's
Mm.
so the stuff she's coming up with is fantastic. The other day she was walking up and down her street and a neighbor put out an old like chandelier light thing and she took it, like free trash,
Yeah.
and she's redoing the whole thing. I'm like, wait, you know how to do that? She's like, not really, but I'm on YouTube and I'm gonna like paint it. And I mean,
Birth's
how
new life. Yes.
and
Yeah.
how cool, here is this person who is gravely ill
Mm.
and has decided that every day and throughout the week, I'm going to do these different creative projects and I'm going to let that part of me out to
Mm.
breathe.
Mm.
And through that, the amount of mental and emotional healing, which I then believe affects, of course, the physical healing,
Yeah.
it's next level. Like it's
Mm.
so cool. It's changed her whole vibration, just
Mm.
like that, just like that.
Well, I have a little stat, so data on creativity and mental health. So in 2023, there was a poll of 2,200 American adults found that people who rate their mental health as very good or excellent, right? They rate themselves as very good or excellent mental health, engage in creative activities far more frequently than those who don't, where they rate it as poor. 71%, they would give themselves a 71%, like their mental health score, 46% of those who don't. So nearly half of Americans use creative activities specifically to relieve stress or anxiety. Hell yes, right? And there's more. The UK has a government commissioned study that participation in arts activities has measurable benefits for the individuals and the whole society, right? Including reducing symptoms of depression, anxiety, boosted productivity, and improved quality of life. So, like,
Yeah.
and they say that the societal benefit, like the UK is like, what are we doing all this creative stuff? Societal benefit was an estimated 8 billion a year in their country.
Dang.
Okay, like that didn't just translate for that hit some of y'all, some of y'all that checked the box like, okay. So, yeah.
Well, when you were reading all of that, which is mind blowing, of course, I immediately was thinking of the trickle down, because that's what you're talking about, outcomes of people having creativity and creative acts and art within their life, and the amount of human connection that is
Yeah.
oriented towards
Mm,
the creative nature of people and whatever their art is, right? So if for me, if it's building community or building business or whatever, there is creative acts within that, right? If it's music or whatever the dynamic is. I told you I'm super into music right now, and I always have been, but it's been cyclical in my life. It's definitely a seasonal thing. And I'm using it right now with great intention to connect to people. Now,
mm.
that might sound weird because I'm not going to concerts and I'm not in a band. Okay, even though I pretended in high school I was in a band. I told you we had a girls' band named Girl Style and we never actually had a band, but people
Ah,
think we do. So, anyway, but because I love music and I've been back playing different types of music and whatever, I will shoot a song to a person and
thinking of,
I will send it to them and I will say, this reminds me of you. Or do you remember this song? And I will
mm,
create connection around that music. And then they will listen to it. And I get the greatest responses from people. And
mm,
so, with several people that I sort of had fallen out of touch with, we now have this ongoing every week. It's like music back and forth, back and forth. And there's this really lovely connection that we're sharing
mm,
through that piece of art that's moving through us, our
mm,
emotions, our thoughts, our memories, our
mm,
ideas. It's a
mm,
form of us, expressing with each other
mm,
without having to, write some long text or this or that. So I
mm,
feel like, creative elements are everywhere and available as tools for really improving pretty much every aspect of your life.
mm.
I mean, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of the takeaways? What are things like that people can, or do you have another question or what do we want? I
Nope,
I have a
that's
couple of
it.
things to, so I was thinking of, like what would, what, if you can't take these, a weekend away and lightning in a bottle style and go get immersed in like that whole wonderful experience. If you can do it, highly recommend it. But like,
Yeah.
so some of the takeaways I have is, remember you are already creative. Like you've been hitting that home, right? Like creativity means to grow, to make. It's not, like defined by looks like Picasso. That's not what the art, that's not what the definition is. So just allow yourself to express, allow yourself to be free and to own that, because like if we identify as an artist, if we identify as creative, we're
Hmm.
more likely to come from that place. Like you said, it's a way of being, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So, there's evidence that your brain needs to wander, right? And I would say this because of the hypnotist in me is, I think some of the most creative states are when people are like yesterday. So I was thinking, I was like, how am I going to share this? Because I've only done it one day so far, but, so there's self-hypnosis, right? And all hypnosis is technically self-hypnosis, but I was doing self-hypnosis yesterday and I was purposefully doing it because I've been studying the Silva method, which is from the 70s and 80s or something. It's having a comeback. It's like Dolly Parton, just having a new comeback, whatever, So
Yeah.
the Silva method is back and It really is a proponent of, they call it going to your level. And so they call that the alpha state, which is, it's just really like a relaxed state of mind, like a relaxed state of body and a relaxed state of mind. And then you just have access. They say you have more access to more parts of your brain and all this stuff, right? Because I will attest to being in full throttle, busy, and I don't do social. So, I don't even know if people are putting that junk in their brain with like TikToks and stuff like that. Like you're not, you are consuming, you're not creating when you are on social media. Just a reminder, field note, like that's a consumption act. It's not a creative act. So, unless you're the one creating the video, of course. So, going into this alpha state is an opportunity to drop down into this relaxed state, more of your brain. And the practice I'm doing is just like you talked about, like Elizabeth Gilbert sitting at the desk in the morning and receiving. So I wrote down, like I was just like one of my, you know, evil twin sisters is confusion, right? Like confusion and doubt. And so I was like, oh, because I get so many ideas and they're just like, what do I do with all this? So I was like, okay, I need this. And then I had like four questions and I narrowed it down to one question. I was like, I'm going in on that question. So I wrote that question down, went into my alpha state, and I just like opened up my mind, right? And it's hard to explain, like, what does that mean? Go listen to a Silva Method, whatever. And I just like Elizabeth Gilbert was ready to receive from the universe. And the downloads, I was probably there for 30 minutes. Like I was motionless. Like my body was just, we got more down. Like it was coming in. And I was like, crap, I gotta like, as soon as I get out of
Capture
this,
this.
capture this. So I like wrote and wrote. I'm like, and another thing, and another thing. And some of it was confirming, some of it
Mm.
was like, yeah, this, not that, kind of confirming. And some of it was like, oh. So yeah, so I would just say like your brain needs to wander like that. Like so turn things off. I think walks are great, being in nature. Anything to say on that, my dear?
Yeah, I think that's an energetic flow state where you're tapping into the energy of whatever, the planet, the earth, the ground, the world.
Angels, whatever.
It can be music. I
Higher
think
self.
music is
Yeah.
an opening to that too, because there's a
Yes.
very specific energy to different
Yes.
musics, visually, colors, sights, smells, like all of those things that
Hmm.
make us human are portals in my
Hmm.
opinion, right to that flow state. I mean,
Hmm.
people love to meditate, and I'm not a big meditative person, but I do see the value in it. And, that can get you to that state also. But you need to be open,
Hmm.
right? And like what you said was really interesting when you are consuming, whatever that might look like, that's not an openness.
Hmm.
People think that that is an openness when they're consuming audio, video,
Hmm.
socially,
Entertaining,
whatever.
maybe
Yeah,
entertaining
right.
at best, but
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So there needs to be, it doesn't have to be quiet, but there needs to be the space
Hmm.
available. I'll just call it oxygen, right? For
Hmm.
that new whatever circle of creative energy, concept, ideas. You were talking specifically about ideas and downloads to come in,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like a tuning in. I guess it's maybe like a tuning pitchfork or some kind of thing like that if you think about it like that.
And that could look different for everybody. I
It's
just
going
was
to
sharing my
100%.
idea. Yeah. I mean, because I find that doing dishes and shower, my brain goes into just like, that auto state. It's kind of like driving and you forget where you are. That's actually a hypnotic state, right? You're like, oh, how did I get here again? You just parked, but you forgot the whole road to work because you know it on autopilot. So those are hypnotic states. Well, that's actually a relaxed state for your brain. I find like in the shower, like I do the same. You guys, we all probably shower in the same direction and, for each other, like whatever. But when you do that, like your brain is open. It's not having to process as much, right? So just,
Hmm.
allow your brain to wander or allow it to relax or, just be receptive, I think is what we're saying. Allow it to be creative, not consuming. So,
And I would add a really important piece, in my opinion, is create just for you.
hmm, yeah.
The So many brilliant ideas and so many creative ideas and acts are stopped
Hmm,
because the human, the creator,
right.
feels like somebody else is going to see it, read it. I've done this to myself with writing endless times, and ultimately is going to have an opinion about it. And
Mm.
so it will either change what I do or it'll just stop it altogether. It sort of just will rob the joy of the whole thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I don't care, because I shouldn't, by the way, I got endless ideas. It's just an endless flow of all this crazy shit, right?
No doubt.
Because it's in there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there and it
Nice.
needs to be expressed,
Nice.
energetically. It's literally in these cells. It's in our little mitochondria. So
Totally.
let it out.
Totally.
Let it
Oh,
out.
all right. So I would say a couple other things. So having a weekly creative practice, if that's your thing, but
Mhm.
it's mental health benefits. We talked about that earlier, so like coming up with a practice, it's good for your health. It's not a luxury, right? Like start seeing it as a necessity, not a luxury, not a need, nice to have, a need to have, right? Because it's the counterbalance to all that other stuff that we're doing. And LAB experiences, lightning in a bottle, doing these creative retreats, it's not indulgent, right? Those are creative retreats that, it has so much payback, like the return on investment for my business, for myself, my sense of self and create, joy. You can't buy that.
Priceless.
Yeah.
Priceless.
Yeah, and you don't have to call yourself an artist to create, right? So just
You,
liberate yourself from whatever the labels might be
mhm.
have held you back until now, right? Because now this, if you're listening this far, you have permission. You ding, remember the creative glitters in your ears, like curious, creative, whatever it looks like and feels like for you. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Anything else to add?
Just do it. Just
Would.
do it.
So what's your one thing? What's your one thing from today that you want to leave people with about creativity?
I do want people to think about when their eyes open in the morning. you know, what will I create today? And
Oh.
it could be I will create a particular experience for myself and the people that I love. Cool. Or my coworkers or whatever. But I want them to ask the question and then think about the fact that they're going into the day
Mm,
as a creator.
mm,
Okay.
mm.
So in whatever that looks like for you, it's going to be completely unique. But go about each day with the intent, I am a creator. What will I create today?
Wow, that's so good. That's like a whole episode itself. I would say for me, and I'm the one speaking it, and I'm speaking it to myself and to you, beloved listener, and that is, if you're like me, if it's not on the calendar, like it doesn't get done, right? And so, like, I do have a trip planned a quarter from now. So, in, about 90 days, I have a trip. I'm like, okay, great. That is another, so keeping those out there for myself. And they don't have to look extravagant. They don't have whatever they look like, but putting it on my calendar helps me ensure that it gets done and not making it a nice to have, but it's an essential part of how I like the little watered plant. Like if I'm wanting to produce fruit in my life, like I gotta water myself. I gotta take care of this, soul creature creativity, all of it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those are mine. Those are mine.
Okay. I love
Good.
it.
All right. Well, let's sign off now, my dear. What do you want to tell them?
Oh my goodness gracious. How your life feels is so much more important than how your life looks.
Yeah. And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.